Sunday, April 25th, 2021, we discuss a past Oscar film that I've just recently watched that I've always had kind of a stick in my craw about. And that movie is 1980's Ordinary People, directed by Robert Redford, starring Timothy Hutton, Donald Sutherland, and Mary Tyler Moore. Today, with your host, Joe LaRocca, on the Daily Review. So, how's it going, guys? I watched Ordinary People finally, and I've never been able to bring myself to watch it because it beat Raging Bull in all sorts of Oscars that year. It won Best Picture, it won Best Director. And it also, Timothy Bottoms won, and it won Best Adapted Screenplay by Alvin Sargent. So this is a very, I had never seen it, like I said, and it's been a movie that I've been meaning to see because it's an important late 70s, I mean, it came out in 1980, but it's really kind of a late 70s movie. Important movie for Robert Redford, really solidifying him as an award-winning filmmaker. And the plot is fairly basic. It's very basic. It's a little bit basic. It's a family is dealing with the loss of the eldest son who died in a boating accident. And that's basically the whole story. It's Donald Sutherland is the father, Mary Tyler Moore is the mother, and Timothy Hutton is the son, who's just kind of trying to overcome the guilt and the tragedy and the sadness and the depression and mainly the guilt, of dealing with a huge tragedy that transforms your life. And it's all in the face of this concept of ordinary people, like, oh, they're just trying to go back and live their life. Look at how normal they are. Oh, they got the white picket fence, and they got the vacations, and they got the boat and all this stuff. But that doesn't protect them from tragedy. Tragedy hits you anywhere. So even though you're safe behind all these things and all the, what are people going to say, and all that kind of like minutia of the suburbs and stuff, or of rich society, your position and how it looks and how your children's actions reflect upon you and all those kind of things. And you go, all that is kind of tied in with having to deal with this tragedy, and each one of the family members deal with it in their own way. The father is very caring and open and wants to do whatever's the healthiest thing to do, and understands what a massive impact this has had on Conrad, the son, Timothy Hutton. The mother just doesn't even want to deal with it. She wants to just keep moving on. I've heard phone conversations in my house like that, when there's something incredibly important happening and you're all stressed out about it, and someone's on the phone being like, oh, did she really? Oh my God, that's so funny. Oh, I can't believe she missed her breakfast last week. Just like holding people to all the regular things that they were clinging to when life was normal, and then everything switches when you realize that things can go bad, and they can always get worse on top of that. I understand that of just wanting to kind of shirk away at that thing and just be like, let's just keep moving. If we stop and think about this, we're going to be destroyed. And a lot of interesting relationships come about from these three characters. The triangle of interaction between these characters is very interesting and fairly well observed, I'd say. There's a lot of things that you wouldn't necessarily think of on a first draft or something, especially the relationship with the mother, Mary Tyler Moore, is very interesting, and is not what I would have expected. Just because usually the mother in a story is a different type of character. In this, she's very cold, and she almost is resentful of Connie because he lived, and I don't know, it's really, really interesting. There's some really good stuff in it. The performances are amazing. The script is very, very good. Timothy Hutton is the best one of the best disoriented youths I've ever seen in a movie. he seems so lost. And, like, he's got these dark circles under his eyes, and his hair's all greasy. He looks like Holden Caulfield or something. Like, it is such a perfect representation of, a youth in crisis, you know? Like, because it's so interesting. His performance is tremendous. It's really good. And then, Donald Sutherland and Mary Tyler Moore are both very good. I mean, Mary Tyler Moore, she has a hard role because she comes off pretty Nurse Ratched in this, but I do, by the end, understand her character to a certain degree, although the women get it pretty bad in this movie. Damn you, Robert Redford. I mean, the poster is so perfect, right? They're a family, but they're all in these, like, separate picture frames, you know? It's like they're one unit, but now they've kind of been fractured into these little segments. It's really cool. It's just like a Talking Heads song made into a movie or something with the less levity. But so there's all sorts of like smaller interactions that take place outside of the family, which is he's got like his friends, how he used to, him and his friends, how close they used to be, and Emmett Walsh is his swim coach, and he was like quite a good swimmer, and he's obviously lost interest in that now that all sorts of things. And the association with the water, I'm surprised they don't play that up, because, his brother died in a boating accident. That's also part of it. It's not like, oh, your brother died of cancer or something that, like, it's like, oh, we were being stupid. We were messing around on a boat, and we should have come in earlier. We knew it was getting windy on, like, a little sailboat, and we were dumb, and we made a mistake. And because of it, my brother's dead now. I can't imagine dealing with the guilt. And the movie does a very good job of showing this. It's similar to like, there's a lot of like Good Will Hunting in there too, because Judd Hirsch is the therapist who kind of helps Connie and the rest of the family through it. And his stuff, I didn't find that stuff to be as true. My experience in therapy was not as clean as this is. They kind of get to breakthroughs pretty quickly. He's like the best therapist of all time. Like, they have like a few conversations, and the person figures it out themselves, which wasn't necessarily my experience. So I kind of call bullshit on some of that. It's a little bit Hollywoody, a little bit Oscar movie-ish. Like, there are scenes like in therapy sessions where people are like, I think I figured something out, and then they look pensively out the window and go, perhaps I'm the one who's guilty, or whatever. And you're like, oh, come on, it doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen like that. But I also don't know how to show it. This is kind of a tough movie to make visual, because there's only a few things. You got the swimming, you got the flashback of the boat. There's like a jogging sequence. It's just hard to keep it kinetic, it's a lot of conversation. So, and they did do, I was more paying attention to the story, but now that I think about it, they did a pretty damn good job of keeping the camera fairly interesting, considering it is one of these Dead Poet Society, Good Will Hunting kind of struggling boys who have surrogate father figures to help them get through their tough times. So yeah, I am glad I watched it. I did specifically. Gotham brought it over yesterday, so I was like, I better watch this because it's one of the. I think it's the most modern Oscar Best Picture winner that I haven't seen. I think that I've seen them all back to like some point in the 60s and a lot of the ones before that. But I think between like now, this year, and all the way back in terms of winners, I think it's the only one I haven't seen in the, in that period of time, if that makes any sense. Yeah, it's good. It's some of it's a little bit melodrama, which is okay. It's okay that it's a melodrama, because you got to tell these stories sometimes. But give me Manchester by the Sea, baby. That feels more authentic, because I like how the characters in that are just like, I can't